Hello and welcome to Lutz and Glory. I'm Bronwyn.
I'm Will.
And I'm Kathy.
We're very excited to have Kathy back for our Skate Canada recap. It's
Yay.
really great to have you back, Kathy.
Thanks. So we're going to start with talking about the ladies field with the current U.S. champion Ashley Wagner taking the title.
Woo!
Yay!
We are all very excited.
Yep. So Ashley got obviously 3 new personal bests at this event. I think she surprised a lot of people with, just the quality and the caliber of what she produced here, especially coming off of a, less than stellar performance at the Japan Open. So what did you guys think of her programs?
I thought the short program was absolutely spectacular. Honestly, probably the best short program she's ever put out. I think the music suits her very well. The choreography suits her very well. And it's like, you can't complain about her not having transitions anymore because she has clearly worked her butt off to get those transitions in so she doesn't miss out on points there. And in addition, she got all her spin levels too, which is very impressive. And then to go out and not only fight back from that short program, but then to almost nail the long program. There were some under rotations, but she's off to a great start this season. I hope she can keep it up for NHK Trophy in 3 weeks.
Definitely. Oh my God, I was just so happy to see her do so well here. I think this is the most relaxed I've ever seen her compete, which was great. And her jumps just seem to have that extra little snap, that extra little pop that they don't typically have. And I don't know, she just seemed super comfortable with the ice. Everything was just comfortable and relaxed, especially in that short program. I think the Eurosport commentators put it best when they said that it's kind of like an exhibition program in terms of performance, where her previous content for short programs was very heavy, and it requires like a lot of emotional depth. And not that Ashley's incapable of providing that on the ice, but I think it's tough to convey in a short program. So I think this short program definitely plays to her strengths of performance and lightness and bubbliness. And I was really excited with the free skate after Japan Open to see what revisions she and Shaylin made after Japan Open. And they were just on display, and it was just fabulous here in Lethbridge. So, yeah.
And I want to say I love the new Moulin Rouge dress. People complained about the clashing reds. I mean, I kind of had an issue with it. It wasn't my biggest concern, but the new dress gives a new look to the program. It gives a fresh look, and it's still inspired by the movie, which I think is awesome. I'm very happy to see that she did so well at the beginning of the season. And not only did she do so well, she beat the reigning world champion by 14 points, and that is huge.
Yeah, so I hope that Ashley can carry the momentum from this event over to, like we said, her second assignment, which is the NHK Trophy, especially because the ladies field there is going to be, deeper than ever. We have Mawasada, Satoko Miyahara, along with a lot of other talented ladies. So I think that if Ashley puts out the same kind of performance there as she did here, then she will have a great chance of, medaling at that event.
Yeah, for sure. Another, I like you had mentioned, Bron, when it was sort of a blowout win here for Ashley, which was really great to see. I mean, it's always nice when there's like competition and it's really close, but she just had such an advantage over Liza after the short program that and
it's been a long time. It's been a long time since we've seen that from Ashley in international competition. This was her first gold since the 2013 Trophy Eric Bompard. And like I said, it's very encouraging to see so early in the season.
Yeah, for sure. Especially beating Liza is great for her confidence. Let's talk about Liza for a little bit because, she won the free skate here, which was great for her. She had been, it almost seemed like all those competitions she did last season were finally starting to catch up to her. Earlier in the season, we saw her at Cup of Nice, and she really, really struggled there, barely beating out her teammate Elena Leonova. Um, and Liza was seventh after the short program. She didn't even make it into the final warm-up group, which was shocking, honestly. But it was great to see her fight back, and it was great to see her put her technical prowess on display. Um, the program, though, I, I think the free skate has potential. I think it does. I think it has nice build, and it gets the crowd engaged. You can say her programs are somewhat choreographically empty, but you can't say that she doesn't know how to perform, because I think she does, and I think she proved that last season too. What are your guys' thoughts on Liza and her two programs?
I agree with the assessment that Lisa is her programs are choreographically empty. I don't like the short program at all. I don't think it suits her. I feel like it just gets too big for her, especially the ending Carmina Burana. And I feel like the long program does have a nice build, but it's not. There's not enough choreography to like captivate the audience. I feel like the ending is much stronger than the beginning, and I liked her long program better last season because she really had the charisma, and the music was quirky and it suited her, and the audience was drawn in immediately. Whereas this one, it just doesn't, for me at least, it doesn't work, and I don't know if it'll happen, but I would really love to see her actually get programs that have some choreography in it, because I feel like she could handle it.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about both of her programs is there's this point where you see her, after she's finished all her jumps and she's starting her footwork, you really see her come alive, but it's not until that point that she really starts performing. Like before that point, you can almost see her thinking about the elements she's about to do. You can almost see her, the gears turning in her head, thinking about, oh, okay, what do I need to do next? And that's something that I really didn't notice last season, because one thing that, you strive for as a skater is this effortlessness, this ability to make your programs look like you don't have to think about them to go out and deliver them. And I think that this may be a reflection of, I think the pressure that she's under as the reigning world champion, and especially with Mao Asada, a very competent skater, making her comeback. Maybe Lisa is, a little more feeling, the pressure as she goes through the season, and maybe this is her way of sort of not compensating, but this is her way of sort of pacing herself through her programs so she doesn't get too caught up in, all the expectations surrounding her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the long program is going to, like, nailing the long program almost perfectly as she did. I feel like that's a great turning point for her momentum this season.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Another skater who we saw, who I think really this competition was a turning point in their career, was Yuka Nagai of Japan. The bronze medalist just barely edged out her teammate Kanako Murakami by a little less than a point and a half. Though she finished seventh in the free skate, she put together two really, really strong programs, especially the short program. To comprise her senior Grand Prix debut, she nailed the triple Lutz triple toe in both programs. It was just bang on. And I think what I like about Yuka, she has innate technique. Her technique is phenomenal. She is somewhat susceptible to popping her jumps, but the technique, there's just a snap, and it's you can't really teach that. You can revise it, but she's got it, And I like her programs this year, especially the long program. It's kind of flashbacks of Sean Johnson's 2008 floor exercise music with that August rush. But yeah, really, really strong skates here, and a strong debut. Can't wait to see what she produces later on this season. So what do you guys think of her and Kanako?
I like that you mentioned her sound technique, because, as a first-year senior, a lot of problems that skaters run into, especially at her age, tend to stem from, like bad technique that they've developed as a habit over their junior careers and that they've sort of gotten away with because it's never been corrected. But I think that Yuka definitely doesn't have this problem. So if she were to go through, say a growth spurt or something, it wouldn't, affect her jumps the way we've seen that sort of physical change affect other skaters in the past. So I think that she has a really solid foundation to build off of. And I would like to see, a little bit more content in both of her programs. I think she's a lovely skater. She has great skating skills. She has great knee bend. She's very lovely to watch. I think that she's lacking a little bit of refinement, but, that will come with time. And that's something that she just needs to develop as she goes out and performs her programs. And gets, experience with them. And it's a great start for her because, medaling at her first senior Grand Prix, that's a great, starting point. So I'm excited to see, what the future holds for her.
Absolutely, I agree. And recently, Yuka Nagai has been known for popping her jumps a lot. However, she only popped, I believe, one jump in both programs, and that, for Yuka, is a big milestone, in my opinion. She's definitely I think she's definitely improving upon her mental game and being there. And, I think in the future she is someone to watch for if she can control these pops that she has. That's basically her biggest flaw, is that she pops so much and she leaves so many points on the table. But she's very lovely. She definitely has an innate musicality, which is very nice to see. And I agree with you, Will. I really like her August Rush long program. Not many skaters use that music, so it's very, I love when skaters go outside the box and come up with something that isn't, it's not, off-putting. It's just different, and it's very much appreciated.
Yeah, unconventionality is fabulous to see in the sport of figure skating. Another skater that I want to touch on is Gabby Dalen, the reigning Canadian national champion, 8th after the short program, but what a long program she put together. I mean, she, as Eurosport commentators would put it, she was foot perfect. I mean, every jump was just huge. I was so happy she was finally able to put it together in a program and just keep it consistent and fluid, and she was able to perform. And what a way to do it in front of her home crowd. So congrats to her there for sure. Another skater that she was kind of a wild card coming into this in terms of where she would place was Paulina Edmonds. I know a lot of fans and a lot of people were interested and anxious to see her new program. She had debuted them earlier at summer competitions, but this would be the first time we would see them under the big lights. And, somewhat disappointing scores here, and she was disappointed too. What do you guys think? Because she had this problem last year where she would get scores that she wasn't quite hoping for, and she just gets kind of angry, and then the anger isn't really centered to a place of productivity. So what do you think she should work on to get the scores that she needs? Because she does have talent. I mean, she made it to the Olympics. She's gone to the World Championships multiple times. She's been a great asset to Team USA. So what do you both think she needs to do to really break into that upper group of world skaters?
I think the Moonlight Sonata short program is a great step for her. This is the first time that, in my opinion, she's actually looked like the mature skater she has repeatedly said she wants to become. But I feel like the long program, especially the dress, and the issue with Paulina is that often you don't want to talk a lot about the skater's costume. However, packaging is a huge part of it. And I feel like Paulina isn't packaged correctly a lot because she could be a very lovely skater. She skates very well to lyrical, light pieces, although, the Moonlight Sonata is not the best fit. I do think it is a step in the right direction, whereas, you look at the Gone with the Wind with the rhinestone bow and the two little hair bows in the back, and I'm like, she doesn't look her age, and I'm not trying to be mean because I do really enjoy Paulina skating and I want her to succeed, but she's not giving off the mature persona that she's talked so much that she wants to be. In my opinion, I don't think that she's packaged correctly. And she also, when she complains about the under rotations, sometimes it is unfair, but if the judges see you as an under rotator, you can ask Mirai Nagasu, unfortunately, because once you're seen as that, you'll never get the benefit of the doubt from the judges. But unlike Mirai, unlike in Ashley, Paulina doesn't really seem to do anything to fix that. Whereas like Mirai and Ashley will work their butts off. Ashley knew that she had under rotations in her long program, whereas Paulina was not happy with her marks. And it's really disappointing to see that she's not, because while the judges can be unfair, admittedly, there are times where they are being right, and you do need to adapt to what the judges are saying, fair or not. I do think that it was unfair that she got dinged for the flying sit spin in the short program. I thought that was ridiculous, but she's just trying to say that she's very mature and she's matured so much, but right now I'm not seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really think that Paulina at this point, and we've talked about this before, but I think that she really needs to just address her problems head on. Like you said, with the under rotation issue, but also with her flip edge, which she has consistently denied that it's a problem. But if you're constantly being called for it at competitions, it's not a great solution to just say, that's not happening. It's probably a better solution to, go and try to fix that with, just reworking the basic technique of your jump. And I think that in terms of the two programs, I do agree that, her short program is a lot more mature and a lot more sophisticated in terms of, how she performs to the music. And it's almost like she's two different skaters. With the short and the long, because the short is she's using the music. I mean, personally, I think the cuts are a little bit choppy, but I think that it's definitely a step in the right direction because she's using every nuance of the music and she's delivering and she's drawing in the audience, and that's something you want to do. But with the long, it's almost like there's a detachment between her and the music she's skating to. And you don't get a story behind it, and you're not as compelled, as an audience member to, keep paying attention, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely great points there, especially about having to rework technique from the basics, because we've seen skaters have to do that. Like Alyssa Sisney had to do it after 2007. Marisada had to do it after the Vancouver Olympics, and another skater that had to do it after receiving surgery was Caitlin Osmond, the Canadian figure skater who finished in 11th place here. I was so disappointed to see the short program because she started out, it looked like it was going to be the program of her life. The flip toe was absolute money. It was better than Ashley's, I have to say. It was better than Ashley. There was flow, there was extension, there was speed. I mean, it was just stunning. And she has sort of, it's a little distracting. She has like a Cove Tune-esque like 3-turn thing that she does, and it almost looks like she's on like a roller derby or something before the flip and before the Lutz. But that's just being stupid. But if it gets the job done, it gets the job done, and it certainly did on the flip toe and the Lutz. And I think that was just a fluke mistake, a lapse in concentration on the flying sit and on the double axel. The free skate, though, was really, really tough to see. It was really encouraging to see her marks after the short, even with those 2 falls. She was still in 4th place. She was in the running for sure to get silver, bronze, maybe even gold if Ashley would have faltered. But, really, really disheartening free program to see. And it is a gorgeous program. We've seen her perform it already exponentially better earlier this season. And it really has so much potential. I think these are her 2 best programs to date in terms of choreography and performance and packaging. I love both of her dresses, too. So what are your guys' thoughts on Caitlin, and what do you think she needs to do to recover from this?
I think Caitlin is, I think she's a great example of someone who, addresses her weaknesses, and she really, and she sticks to her word. If she says she's gonna fix something, she's gonna fix it. And so before this season, she hadn't even, I think, put the triple loop into either of her programs, and so that was one of her goals coming in, especially after sitting out last season with an injury. And so obviously the free skate was not ideal. I mean, it was heartbreaking to watch, but I think that the obvious issue of her having injured her ankle in practice, if you put that aside, I think that the programs themselves have so much potential to grow and develop, and they've already done so since we first saw her, at Skate Detroit. So I'm really excited to see what she can do, once she heals up, once she gives herself time to, get back to her best self. And I think she started out, as a great skater with a lot of potential, but she still has like so much time, so much just time in terms of years and time left in the season to really progress, and I'm very excited to see what she can do.
I agree completely. I feel like there's nowhere to go but up from here for Caitlin. Five falls is extremely rare in this sport, and that's why with NHK coming up, if she's still injured, I really hope she does withdraw, but I think she'll be okay. She's got 3 weeks. She's got plenty of time to recover, and I'm praying that she can come back from this. She does now have a lot of ground to make up, because that is definitely not going to help her viewing in the judges' eyes, especially outside of Canada. However, I feel like she can fight back, and I feel she'll definitely be able to do much better at NHK Trophy.
For sure. And I think once she's healed, she'll be able to really consecrate her status as the #1 Canadian lady, because I think she is the most talented and the best Canadian lady since Joanie. I mean, we see other skaters like Elaine, who's fabulous as well in her own regard, but I really hope Caitlin can fight back from this. But a team that has established themselves also from Canada as the team to beat, I think, this season. I mean, there is Sui and Han, but Duhamel and Radford, they just amazing here in terms of what they're able to land on the it's just amazing. It's mind-boggling, and their endurance is admirable in both programs. And I think artistically, there's definitely been improvement. I like both of their costumes for each of the programs, and again, we always talk about this idea of packaging. I think they're better packaged this year, though I did like their Muse long program last year. I think these are collectively two of their best programs. Huge score here, 216.16. Really, really great to see from them, a great start to their season. And I think this is a great response to what Sui and Han were able to produce last week in Milwaukee. I think they're really going to be the two teams gunning for that world title, and it's going to be really exciting to see. So what were your guys' thoughts on Duhamel and Radford?
I think it's between Duhamel and Radford, Sui and Han, and Voloshyzar and Trankov this season. You can't count out Voloshyzar and Trankov, in my opinion. But I do really, with Duhamel and Radford, I did like their Muse long program, but after a while, it felt fresh at first, but after a while, as the season progressed, it started to feel really stale.
It felt like formulaic. It just felt like it wasn't a performance,
But I feel like the Adele song, the Hometown Glory song, I think that's an excellent choice for them. And this is probably the first program I've ever been excited about of theirs. I'm not sure I would give out. I saw on their PCS they had a lot of 9s. I'm not sure I would give out 9s so easily, especially
early on.
Especially because it's early on. I know they were in Canada, but they're not a team that I would just most of the time just be handing out 9s to. But I do think, and I think it does worry me a bit that they're getting such high PCS, because where are you going to go from here? You have to, you're starting at such a high ground, you got to improve even more. However, like I said, I really enjoy this program. I think that with time over the season, I think this is going to be stunning in Boston, and I'm hoping all the 3 of the top pairs teams are clean, because it's going to be an intense battle for the world title.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about Duhamel and Radford at this competition is that Eric has really seemed to come into his own in terms of the partnership between the two. Typically in a pairs team or even a dance team, it's the female partner who gets all the attention. But I feel that this season they're sharing the spotlight a bit more, and I think that's really cool to see, because it's not just him lifting her or throwing her or anything like that. It's they're both interpreting the music, and they're both delivering their best, and like Will said, they were head and shoulders above the rest of the field here, not just in terms of mostly in terms of technical elements, like what they're producing. They're doing the throw quad sal, the side-by-side triple Lutzes. No one else has as difficult of a layout as they do. So I think that going forward, that will continue to be their strength if they are to defend their world title next year.
I agree.
I agree too. I like what you said about Eric coming into his own, because it is a team. There are 2 people on the team, and there needs to be some semblance of synergy there. And I think that's definitely improved a lot, even in these early stages of the season.
Yeah, and just one small minor nitpick. I really love the short haircut that she does, because I love when girls have short hair. I think that's awesome. However, I do think that it would help if she pinned it back, because we can't see her face. We don't know if she's emoting, and I feel like that would help I think that would help the program. I'm not actually trying to be like, her hair looks bad. Like, no, I think that would actually help the program, because then we could see her face, we could see her emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so coming in second in the pairs field was the Russian pair, Tarasova Morozov, who are, I believe this is only their second full senior season. So this was a really promising result. And like we mentioned before, with the reigning Olympic champions, Volozar Trenkov, coming back, and with the Russian pairs field being so deep, with Sobova and Klimov, and Kavaguti Smirnov, I think that this is a great stepping stone for this team, who are younger and relatively less experienced than their teammates. So going forward, this is going to put them in a great position, I think, in the judges' eyes. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think that I like their programs this season a lot better than last season. I didn't like their long program at all last season. I read somewhere that they were working on a quad twist, which would be absolutely stunning, because their triple twist is honestly, like, I'd go with best in the field. It's absolutely stunning, and I think they could easily do a quad twist. Easily. And that's why I'm really hoping they can get that in there. Otherwise, I do think they really need to work on distinguishing themselves more. These programs are much better than last season, but they still kind of are forgettable to me.
Yeah, and I think that quad twist would definitely work wonders in making them more conspicuous in this deep, deep Russian field, and in the world pairs field in general, And I think another team that struggles with that is Mortowers and Marinero, winning the bronze medal here. Great showing here. But they also struggle. They have the same issues that Tarasova and Morozov have, because the Canadian field, especially in pairs, is just so deep and so rich. And especially, I don't know, after Mortowers switched to Marinero, she just wasn't getting the scores that she would get with Dylan, which is natural. I mean, new pairing, the judges don't want to throw all their faith in to the new decision that Mortowers made, but I think they're really starting to get behind this team, and I am too. I thought they had a really fun and endearing and bubbly short program. They were lights out in terms of technical elements, to struggling a little bit in the free, especially with that lift, but still managing to pull away with the bronze medal. Yeah, I'm really starting to like this team, and I really think that they can prove themselves on the national and on the international level. What do you guys think of Kirsten and Michael?
I think that, like, I agree. I like their short program. I'm not 100% convinced on the long program yet. But I do think that the short program has so much potential, and it's brought so much life to this team. Because you could tell last year it wasn't the same. Like, it's not going to be the same as Kirsten and Dylan, obviously. Mm-hmm. And not to say that they should be the same, but it didn't feel natural, if that makes sense. It didn't feel like they were really gelling. And this year I feel like now that they've had time together, and now that they've found at least one program that really works for them, I feel that they could definitely surprise people on the national level, but I do think that they would have to rely on mistakes by the top three, which, although if Duhamel and Radford probably don't count, but they would have to rely on mistakes from Lubov and Dylan and Julianne and Charlie, honestly. But I do think, like I said, now that they have that short program, I feel that they definitely are on the right track.
Yeah, I agree. And we mentioned earlier how, a pairing is really about an equal contribution between the two partners. And, at this point, I still feel like she is the star of the team, and he is just, a supporting character. And that's not to say that he is not as talented or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I think that while they have certainly improved in terms of synchronicity, learning to complement each other, support each other, I think that he has a little bit of room to grow in terms of, because it feels to me like he's playing catch up to her the whole time that they're skating, and which is, it's still obviously forgivable, at this point in their partnership, but I think that he really should work on, developing the skills that Kirsten already has, brought to the partnership.
Definitely, and I think a team, the fourth place team, Castelli and Tran of the United States, really do, even for a new partnership, they have that teamwork. They work together really well, and I think that really shows in their performances of both of their programs here at Skate Canada. What did you guys think of Castelli and Tran, and how do you think they compare to More Towers and Marinero?
I do. As a team, I prefer Castelli and Tran to More Towers and Marinero. I feel they have that insane chemistry together, especially in the short program. And it's just unfortunate that they haven't been able to perform the Journey program like they have. And it's also unfortunate because Mervyn has been really struggling with his jumps. And what it's kind of surprising is that people didn't realize that he did struggle with his jumps a bit. It was just with his old partnership with Narumi Takahashi. Narumi was more inconsistent, so everyone looked at her. However, he has not been very consistent with his jumps as of late. And especially now that you compare him to the extremely consistent Marissa Castelli, it definitely makes him look a lot worse in comparison. However, he is extremely talented, and so is she. There is just so much potential in this team that is just waiting to be used, and it is kind of disappointing to see them struggle, especially because they couldn't capitalize on the mistakes that More Towers and Marinero made with them missing a lift. But I really think that they could easily be one of the top American teams. It's just getting that consistency down.
Yeah, we know that, Castelli Tran don't have the toughest of elements, so I think that More Towers and Marinero have the edge in terms of, the elements that they're doing, because Castelli Tran have, a throw, I think, double axle in their long program.
They're working on a triple flip, but for right now, yeah, I see.
Yeah. So just, in general, like, their technical content is a bit easier, but I think that their strength is in the ease they have with each other, the way that they mesh so well both on and off the ice. I think that if you look at, behind the scenes footage of them together, not that that is necessarily directly relevant to the scores they receive in competition, but if you just look at them as a whole package, they work so well together. They're a seamless team, and I think that that is going to be a really that's going to be an advantage for them going forward, because not all teams, unfortunately, not all teams can say that both
Especially
partners work so naturally with each other.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Let's move on to the ice dance competition. Really great competition, especially towards the top three. All three teams putting together 6 really, really nice programs. We'll get to the Shibs free dance because that's a lot. That's a lot.
Will really likes their free dance, guys.
Oh, I'm gonna tear up. Okay. Let's talk about Weaver and Poche for a second. Really, really great. They're picking up and they're maintaining the momentum that they've kept throughout the Olympic season and through last season. Picking up another world medal last season, and I think it's been a little bit of a slow start for ice dance in general, and I think it's kind of like those early season lulls are being like all of these teams are feeling those, and I don't think Weaver and Poche, and I don't think Weaver and Poche are an exception to those. I do think though that Weaver and Poche are an established team, and I think that definitely helped them here at home. I don't love the short dance. I don't know. Their programs this year are nice. They're really nice, but they're not eye-catching. They're not something that you don't forget, like the Shibs. I'm never going to forget that. But we'll get I think also they're really good with devising a concept and adhering to it. They're really good at staying in character, and they both do that. They have that team aspect that so many of teams around the world struggle with. And I think that's definitely been an attribute to their success, and will be an attribute to what I believe will be more success this season. What do you guys think about Weaver and Poche?
I'm a bit biased because for their free dance, they use my favorite composer and one of my favorite songs ever. So I am very biased because the minute I heard the music, I already loved the free dance. But however, it's not strong yet. However, I do think this program will surprise people later on in the season, because their 4 seasons free dance started off kind of slow and not a lot of people really liked it. By the end of the season, everyone was a fan of it, I believe. They're a lot like Davis and White in that respect, where their programs, their free dances especially, would start out a little slow, not everyone would love it, and then by the end of the season it was dynamite. And I feel like this program has the potential to do that. My only issue with the long program, free dance, we're talking about ice dance, but my only issue with the free dance is that it doesn't really seem to go anywhere. And I feel like Weaver and Poche are best when they are telling a story. Their Humanity in Motion free dance is probably my absolute favorite dance from them. And they were really telling a story and was very story-driven, whereas this doesn't really seem to have a direction. And that's my biggest concern, is that they need to find a reason to make us care about the free dance and the story, because right now I don't really see a story, and it's kind of hard to see with this music, although I love the music, I love the choreography, and I love some of the lifts.
Exactly, like you can appreciate their strong sound, technical base, and their strong skating and edges, but the program doesn't really grab you. What do you think, Kathy?
Yeah, I thought their short dance was a little bit generic, because especially in terms of the music, because it feels like, any senior level ice dance team could potentially pull together the same sort of program and the same mood, and I think that they're better than that, because they're such an experienced team, and we know them so well, and we love them because of the strong personality they present and the unique characteristics they bring to the field. So I think that the fact that they have a short dance that doesn't really set them apart is a little bit disappointing, considering who they are as a team.
I agree, and it is disappointing because I really like the Elvis short dance, and I was kind of disappointed that they had to switch it because of the judges seemingly having issues with it, being able to judge it, and I thought it was a really interesting program, so it is kind of disappointing that they had to switch to something less unique very quickly. But I think this team definitely can improve. Well, we will see them be a lot stronger later on the season. Moving on to the second place finishers, Will, your favorite free dance, Alex Shibutani and Maya Shibutani. Would you like to talk about them, Will?
Oh, well, I'm going to cry, but I can continue. Well, first let's talk about the short dance, because that's less triggering. Really, really great stuff. I like, they're skating to Coppelia.
Coppelia, yep.
And, we've seen, like, the wooden puppet, we've seen that concept before, but I think they add this sort of level of quirk. There's another dimension to it, and I think that applies to their skating in general. There's just something about them that it's so endearing, and they've been around the scene for so long. Everyone is behind them. You just want to see them do so well. And I think they're really going to do well with this free dance. Oh my God. There are so many I'm going to cry. There are so many moments that are so stunning. They're so stunning. The music cuts, genius music cuts. It builds exactly the way you want it to. It's how you get a crowd. It's how you reach out into the crowd. I'm getting really emphatic. And they just reach, and the twizzles are perfect. The twizzles are always perfect, almost always perfect. But that's almost secondary to what the performance was. I really don't think the program component scores really portrayed what the program was to me and what it was to the crowd. 50.88 is fabulous, don't get me wrong. But few programs in the last 4 seasons have reached me and touched me like that. I mean, it was just beautiful. The rotational lift was right to the music, and everything was just building, and it was so exciting. And I think the score they got here, 102 plus, Chalk and Bates better watch their backs, especially at Nationals, and hopefully the Grand Prix final. I'm pretty sure both teams will make the Grand Prix final, because at NHK, the Shibutanis, I think their main competition are going to be Papadakis and Cicerone, but they're injured, or at least that's the last I've heard from them. So their status is kind of unknown at this point. So I think that the Shibutanis can hopefully lock up a Grand Prix final slot there, as will Chalk and Bates. But I'm just so happy to see them produce something like this. They really needed it at this point in their careers. And what do you guys think about the Shibutanis?
I do. I love the free dance as well. I don't think there's anyone who dislikes the free dance, as we saw it at Skate Canada. And they were able to beat Weaver and Poge on the technical side in both programs, which is huge. And I think that they can definitely beat Chalk and Bates at Nationals because I feel like their programs are far superior this season. And I think, honestly, even if we've thought that in the past, that their programs were superior then, but this season it's especially apparent. And I think that the Shibutanis, they have everything is falling into place for them. They have a great short dance, and you talked about the wooden puppet thing in Coppelia being kind of a cliche at this point. However, I think Maya embodies that character, and I think that's the reason it works so well. Yeah. Usually when it comes to the performance aspect, the focus is usually on Alex, but in the Coppelia short dance, I think the focus is really on Maya, and I think it works very well. And the free dance, there's no words. Absolutely stunning. The twizzles are perfect. Just like I said, everything is falling into place, and I think they are definitely going to Chalk and Bates have to watch their back, as you said. I think that they could definitely surprise some people at Nationals this year.
Yeah, so obviously their short dance was enjoyable. It was fun to watch, but the free dance was just on another level. I mean, watching it, live, I felt like that was the first free dance I had ever watched, which doesn't make any sense because it's not, but but I was just transported. Like, when you read a really good book and you're really engrossed and you lose all sense of like time and place and where you are. That's what I felt like watching that program, and that's so rare in the sport, especially with the amount of skating that we watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it really one thing that stood out. Well, there are many things that stand out from the program, but one big takeaway I have is this is going to silence all the detractors who say that, sibling ice dance teams can't do emotion or drama, because this just proves them wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And they just use the music so well, and the lifts are innovative and they're beautiful to look at, and it just creates this whole atmosphere that you don't, get from every program, that where you feel like they're pulling you in, like they're reaching through the screen or something and drawing you into their performance. So I think that's a very, very rare and extraordinary quality.
I agree completely. And another note is that after the success of their O exhibition last year, I think the decision to turn to Peter Chernishev and their choreographer was an excellent one. And I was a little bit skeptical of using a Coldplay song after the success of their Coldplay exhibition. It worked.
Yeah.
I can't say anything. It was killed all doubts I had.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I think another team where, kind of like Paulina, they were a wild card coming in, Bobrova and Soloviev of Russia, they were out last season because of injury, putting together two strong programs. And, they were the world bronze medalists in 2013. They were the Russian team that most people thought were going to take that Olympic bronze medal. Of course, that ended up being Ilyanik and Katsalapov. But I I definitely think this is a good start to their season. They've never been the most out there in terms of originality. And then there's nothing really about their skating that's great. It's good skating, but nothing is particularly noteworthy. But I definitely really strong stuff here. Let's move on to the men. This was the headline event of Skate Canada. It was all about Chan versus Hanyu and how would each of them stack up. They ended up finishing, Chan finishing with the gold, Hanyu skating away with the silver medal. What did you guys think of let's start with Chan. What did you guys think of him?
I feel like this is a great step in Patrick Chan's comeback. We saw him skate extremely well at the 2014 Japan Open, and then we saw him struggle a bit at the Japan Open this year. However, this is, while I'm not sure he's consistent, because he's very well known for being very inconsistent, I'm still not sure I'm convinced he's completely consistent. However, this was a great step for him. He is technical brilliance. The skating skills, everyone knows about his skating skills and how incredible they are. And we saw some great elements from him. He did struggle a lot in the short program, and I'm not sure I love the short program for him. And I'm not the biggest fan of the long program either. It works, but it didn't really grab me. However, you could see the Canadian audience. I feel like it's probably different live than it is on video, because the Canadian audience, although it was a hometown crowd, they were on their feet during the final spin, which means it was good. Mm-hmm. So I think this is an excellent start to his comeback, and it'll be very interesting to see how the rest of the Chan versus Hanyu throwdowns, whatever, battles, I don't know, whatever we're calling that. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes, especially when you throw in Javier Fernandez and uninjured Dennis Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by, how well Patrick did here because especially after, like you said, his performance at the Japan Open, which, he made mistakes, but here he really rose up to the challenge of, defeating Yuzuru. And I think that it's very telling that, all eyes were on him. He's in Canada, he's the it's like multi-time Canadian champion, but that didn't seem to faze him. He just went out and did his job. Typically he's someone who really courts the press, courts that sort of attention and controversy, but that didn't, affect his skating at all. He just he looked like he was focused. He did his job, and I think that I do agree that the short program's not my favorite, just because I think the version of Mac the Knife that he picked, it seems a little bit, I don't want to say juniorish because you never mistake him for a junior, but it seems a little uncharacteristic for him. But I think that the long program is an excellent showcase of his abilities because it's subtle, but at the same time it gives him a great opportunity to show off, the skating skills, like you guys said, the jumps, the quiet, sort of not so much showy elements, but just the basic fundamental things about his skating that we know and love.
Yeah, and I definitely think that that applies to Hanyu's free skate. I absolutely love this program on Hanyu. I think it fits so well. It is, though, interesting to see because with Chan's program, you didn't see these programs back to back sequentially during the competition, but I think one could bear in mind Hanyu's program while watching Chan's program, and you can see Chan's edge, no pun intended. But you can see his effortless glide. I mean, it just looks like he's floating. It just always looks like he's flying. And like Hani was incredible, but he just doesn't quite have that same glide, that same effortlessness, But I think Hanyu's effort here is fabulous. I love the final footwork sequence. It's just awesome. I think the music also has that quiet intensity that definitely also, much like Ashley's programs, play to his strengths. What do you guys think of Harmony?
I agree with you. I think nobody expected him to come in sixth in the short program. I think that was one of the biggest shockers of the event, along with Elizaveta finishing in second or seventh in the short program. However, I do think that while Patrick Chan may have the better quality skating, I find Yuzuru's programs to be infinitely more interesting. I love the ballade. Very, again, shocking to see him in six and with 2 invalidated jumping passes, but if he can ever get that program clean, it's going to be lights out. It's stunning. And then the long program, everyone has been singing praises of it, and rightfully so. This is the best long program he's had since his Romeo and Juliet, his first one. Not the second one, the first one. Yeah. But even then, it's way better than that. It's on another level of amazing. And if it weren't for that Lutz at the end of the program, he could have blown it out of the water. And I have to give him props because for a long while, his quad sal was the planned quad sal cow fall. He's mastered it. Major props. It's become quite a great tool in his arsenal for him, especially when he's doing that and a quad toe and then 2 excellent triple axles as well.
I think that in terms of technical elements, the fact that Yuzuru has 2 consistent quads plus a really strong triple axle might give him the edge over Patrick over time. But it seems like he's having a bit of a slower start to the season, which it doesn't concern me that much because I'm sure he'll be, he'll be stellar by the time Worlds rolls around. And I think that, this competition, the story here was really redemption in the singles field, with Lisa coming from behind and Yuzuru coming from behind. Mm-hmm. And he was able to make up that huge point margin. And I think that I agree with you guys. If he skates these programs clean, I mean, it's going to be spectacular. A different kind of spectacular from Patrick, certainly, but spectacular nonetheless. And I think that in terms of performing, he's really more about involving the judges and involving the audience, making that eye contact or pointing or whatever. And I think that I like the fact that he was so involved in his long program. He helped pick the music. He approached his choreographer and said, this is what I want to skate to. So I think that knowing that adds an extra, level, if you will, of sort of appreciation for me personally of his program.
Mm-hmm. And commitment too. It's really nice to see skaters commit to their programs and their character and their music, and that's how you garner fans from a public sense, a public perspective of a skater's career. Yeah, and I think another skater that can definitely take notes on that level of commitment that we were talking about before is Daisuke Murakami. Both of his programs are fabulous technically. He's a very technically sound skater. I mean, landing both quad Salchows at the beginning of, it's just awesome. And I think what I like about him is that he's got grit, he's got strength, because he's proven that his NHK win from last season was certainly not a fluke, because he goes to NHK last season, great long program, wins that event, goes to 4 continents later that season, also puts together 2 great programs, and now here at Skate Canada, I just really think he's climbing in the ranks. It was very unexpected at first, but I think he's really being noticed, which is great to see, because he's got a lot of great qualities. But what I would like to see, like I mentioned before, is that level of commitment to his programs. I think other than the jumps, there's not that much there choreographically. And I don't know. I just feel like his programs are very jump centered, and they play to the system. Both of his programs play to the IJS very well. But I think there could be more commitment and more. There could just be more energy and fire and passion injected into both of his programs, especially in the step sequences and things like that. What do you guys think of Murakami?
I agree with you. After his receiving his marks in the long program, he was very disappointed. You could tell he was expecting to beat Hanyu. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that he's not on the same level as a skater. Chan and Hanyu are they are honestly once-in-a-generation skaters, both of them, for different reasons. Mm-hmm. But he was clearly expecting to beat Hanyu, even though Hanyu wasn't clean. And while I'm normally more for if you were clean, you should probably beat the other skater. However, here, I do think Hanyu has the edge because he is just so much more of a complete skater, especially with his programs this year. Whereas I do really like Daisuke's his short program. I think that is absolutely a great step in the right direction. I think it's probably one of his best programs to date. His long program still doesn't really grab me. It was clean, and I was very impressed by the technicality of the things, but musically it didn't really grab me. Choreographically it didn't really grab me. But I just think that he's on the right track, even if he doesn't realize it. Definitely picking up, especially after surprise winning NHK trophy. I think that I think this is a great step for him, especially because Japan only has 2 spots right now. He's going to need to fight very hard for the second spot, because the first spot will most likely go to Yuzuru, but he's definitely going to want to fight for that spot, and it's going to be a very difficult battle. So I think he is on the right track, even if he doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, Bronwyn, you mentioned that he looked disappointed with his scores in the kiss and cry, and I think that, if he channels that frustration in the right way, I think that that could be really powerful as a driving force for him, especially
Yeah,
with,
like skating angry.
yeah, exactly. And I think that at this point, what he's lacking is a little bit of that, compelling quality to his skating because he has all the jumps. He's a very solid technical skater, but I think that in terms of artistry, in terms of the program components, he really has room to grow. And if he really wants to catch up to Yuzuru, he can definitely work on those areas, going forward.
Yeah, definitely. It's within his realm of capability to really work hard and get up to the level. He doesn't quite have the same innate talent. I mean, you can't fix that as Hanyu or Chan, but I think he can definitely, um, even with this season of work ahead of him, I think he can certainly get up there, especially towards the end of the season. Another skater who I think can certainly be in the top ranks of the world's best male skaters is Adam Rippon of the United States, the reigning U.S. silver medalist, coming in fourth here, putting together two strong programs. He is just guts. He is just guts. It's just amazing to see. There are these critics that are like, oh, doing the quad Lutz in both the short and the long, it's only costing you points because you're not doing steps into it and you'll probably fall on it. And I just love how he silences them and he says, you know what, I'm going to go for them because that's who I am as a skater and you're not going to change that. And I certainly respect that. And I think he has that spunk, that go-getter attitude about himself, about him as a person, and it definitely translates to both of his programs, which I think are lovely. He's a master of his craft, honestly. I think he has, though maybe not quite to the same extent, has that same innate glide and that edge, that wonderful edge work of Hanyu and Chan. Again, different different body type and a different skater completely, but he's got that talent. I definitely think he's got a lot of talent that I don't think even is fully unlocked yet, his potential. I think he still definitely still has room to grow and room to improve, and I can't wait to see what he's going to be like at his pinnacle. What do you guys think of Adam?
What I noticed about Adam was that he seems to be, skating with abandon this season, and that's something, we didn't necessarily see as much of last season or the one before, whereas now he is, he's still setting goals for himself, and they're realistic goals, but at the same time, he is, letting go of, I feel like, his inner demons and the things that are holding him back mentally, the pressure that he gives himself. So I think that you can see that, I think, in the reactions to his scores, the interaction between him and Raf, his coach, where he's not, he's certainly striving to be, to constantly improve, get his jumps clean, work on his weaknesses. He's also not leaving anything on the table in terms of, points or showing what he can do. And I love that with both of his programs this season, they have sort of a common thread running through them, which is, the rock music. And I think that because at this stage in his career, he's seasoned enough that he's shown that he can do a range of different programs. He can skate to a range of different music, whether it be, classical or lyrical. And so I think that at this point, it's great to see him like sort of hone in on this one his one strength, which is his musicality and his ability to, capture the nuances in the music and to perform in a way that really no one else can. And I think that's his biggest strength. And I think he's set on, challenging for, I think, the national title this season. And if he continues in this direction, I think it's a great starting point. We saw him third in the short program, which is very promising. Although he finished off the podium at this event, this is going to be a great I think this is going to be great for his confidence going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. He has mentioned in interviews, he did say in an interview that he wants to win nationals this year, and he wants to challenge for a world medal this year, I believe is what he said. However, I do think that he looks very comfortable with these programs, especially the long program, which I absolutely love. I'm a big fan of the Beatles, and it feels exactly like being at a concert with it's like most of the time the different styles of music don't really work, all these different changes, but the choreography, Jeff Buttle did a great job with this program, and also Adam's own musicality makes this program work, and I absolutely love it. I think it is a great vehicle for him going into nationals this year, and also, I think the short program has a lot of room to grow. It's not. I like it. I like the idea of it. It's not there yet, in my opinion, though. But I feel like he's in a great spot going into the season, and his triple axel, he missed one of them in the long program. But that was the first one he's missed in a long time, since 4 continents, I believe. I think he landed all of them at Worlds. But I think this is an excellent start for him. And considering how he did at Skate Canada last year, I think this is a much better start. And he looks, not only does he look comfortable, but more importantly, he looks very happy. Mm-hmm. And it's very encouraging to see. And I do think he is one to watch for the U.S. title this year.
Definitely, for sure. Before we move on to NAM, our final little point of our 2015 Skate Canada recap, I want to talk about, really quickly, Tim Dolenski.
Absolutely.
What an awesome long program that was. I mean, I was a little nervous, especially when he was going into that second triple axel. I had never seen him skate so cleanly up to that point, and it just, once he landed the second triple axel, it was just, you could just breathe and just watch the rest of his program, because he knew he had it. He knew he had his legs under him. I mean, it's just so great to see. What a fabulous technical element score, and he's a fabulous, fabulous spinner. I especially love that headless back cross.
Yes, love it.
It's just fantastic. He has, again, a lot of room to grow, but definitely great foundational skills in terms of artistry, and I think he's a talented kid, and I'm really happy that he's finally being noticed on the international stage, and he could definitely make a splash at nationals this year.
Just real quick, touching on Tim real quick, I just want to point out that he only had one element with negative GOE, and it was only very, very slight negative GOE. And
was
to go out,
double axel?
Yeah, it was the last double axel, and it was only about negative 0.7. So it really, or 0.07, sorry, but it was very impressive to see. He's a very musical skater. He really does understand his music. I like his short program better than his long program, but clearly you can't deny how good the long program was. I just wanted to mention that, and he's definitely someone who, he's going to challenge very highly at nationals this year. I feel like this is his year.
Yeah, so Tim is a musician, and I think that really plays to his advantage in terms of interpreting the music, because he understands, every note and every key. So he's really embodying it out there on the ice. He seems at ease with, just the artistry aspect of it and the performance. And I think that I like that you guys pointed out he could make a splash at nationals, especially with, a few of the I would consider, B-rank skaters having retired. Stephen Carrier, Douglas Rosano, they've both retired. So I think that there's a little bit of a void in terms of that second tier of male American skaters. So Tim could potentially be the one to fill that void.
For sure. Now let's talk about NAM. 5th place here. A little bit disappointing, because he put together 2 really technically strong programs. We've seen on Instagram and on Twitter all of the jumping sequences and all of the things he's done with Javier, and I mean, it's just amazing, the jumps he's able to pull off. And I think that's, at this point in his career and at this point in his season, that's mainly what his programs are. They're more just technical jumping showcases. because I think artistically there's room. There's definitely room to grow, and I'm very pleased with the IJS, and I'm very pleased with the IJS because oftentimes we see skaters who aren't the most artistic skate really clean, solid programs, and then up go their performance and execution scores, up go the interpretation scores. Suddenly they have more transitions. Like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. It's a very convoluted system, and I think I was really happy to see that his program component scores weren't propped up, because I don't think he should be above an 80, honestly, at this point in his career. I think 75 is not bad, but I think it's right where he should be. And it's a little bit hard to live up to what he was able to produce last year at the World Championships, where he finished in 5th. He was 4th in the long program. I mean, again, another technical spectacle of brilliance. You can't deny his jumping ability, but I definitely think that this should be a wake-up call for him, to devote more time to edge work and to the basics and the perfunctory skills rather than the quads. I really think that has to be a major center of focus going forward. What do you guys think of Nam and his progression?
I agree. I agree completely. I think that his programs this year aren't as good as they were last year. I'm not really a big fan. I don't know if this is an attempt to pull off that more mature, but I don't know if you should be going serious and classical with Nam. I think you should 100% be tapping that charisma, kind of like go the Javier Fernandez route, and go with more character-driven programs or something, not Black Betty specifically, but something along those veins that would allow him to play up, because that's one of his biggest strengths, is the fact that he can play up to the audience and play that sort of the ham role, I guess. But I don't think this is I don't know if this is a good, although I do think the PCS were fair, all things considered. I don't know if this is a good sign for Nam. And it was very interesting because he was not invited to the gala. Usually this isn't really a sign of anything, but a lot of Canadian skaters were invited to the gala, but Nam wasn't. And I thought that was very telling, because now that Patrick Chan's back, I don't know if I don't want to say the Canadian Fed is dumping him. I don't know. I'm not in the Canadian Fed. However, it is a very telling sign. It'll be I wouldn't be happy if I were Nam, because he was very consistent last season. He was one of the most consistent men overall, and he got a top 5 finish at Worlds. And if the Canadian Fed is kind of pushing him to the side because Patrick Chan's back, I don't think that's very fair. And like I said, if I were Nam, I would not be happy at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. I agree. But at the same time, I think that he is no longer in that position where he can afford to make mistakes.
Oh no, absolutely.
Because last season when Patrick wasn't there, he really wasn't a challenge very much domestically.
I was just going to.
So this season he really has to, assess his strengths and, play those up while addressing his weaknesses. I think that at this point, his skating skills and his just the transitions or lack thereof, I think that it's still a little bit juniorish to me, because if you look closely at his programs, I think they're packaged to present him in the best light. But I think that if you look at, his entry to the triple axel or his entry to the quads, he almost comes to a standstill before he jumps. And I think he's able to get away with that because because of his body type and the fact that he's I think that it's just become a habit that he's been able to work around. But you can't really continue down this path, especially with someone as technically proficient and artistically, sound as Patrick is. So I think that Nam really has, of course he has much more time being a lot younger, but I think that, he has to take a serious look at, all the ways in which he doesn't measure up.
I think our friend Mandy put it best on Twitter when she said that Nam was packaged as the world's tiniest dad. And I have to agree. I do think that they don't really allow him to tap into his youthfulness and his charisma. And it's kind of surprising because a lot of Brian Orser's skaters are very well packaged. So there's something about that that's just really missing the mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And we've seen that struggle with skaters like Gracie before, where the packaging, it's just not suited to who they are as skaters. And I think that really shows and illustrates the skater's role in the process and how there should be more involvement with the skater, especially as they reach the higher ranks. Like we were talking about with Hanyu and how involved he was in the creation of his long program. I think that definitely needs to be there for Nam. Do you guys have anything else to add about Skate Canada?
I just want to say this was the best event of the season by far. We can only hope the rest of the events are as good as Skate Canada was.
What about you, Kathy?
So one thing that I liked was how this event was not as predictable in a sense as Skate America was, because I don't think many of us anticipated. I mean, certainly the ice dance and pairs champions were expected, but I don't think many of us anticipated the results that we saw in singles. So that made for a really exciting competition, and it was fun to watch. You know, the caliber of the skating was certainly excellent. So I think that's all you can ask for from a competition.
I also really appreciate how fairly judged this event was. I really think all the skaters were ranked where they should be, and their scores definitely reflected their skating, which was really great to see. And also, I wish the Shibs the best of luck, because both of their programs are just so exquisite, especially the free. It's just my favorite. Oh, it's wonderful. I just can't wait to see how that progresses. Yeah.
All right. So, as always, you can follow us on Twitter at Lutz and Glory. You can read our blog at lutzandglory.blogspot.com. I will put links in the description as always. So thank you for a great recap. Thanks for watching. And for Lutz and Glory, I'm Bronwyn.
I'm Will.
And I'm Kathy.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.